Before we get started with the demo, I wanted to just give you all some background on why we're receiving this demonstration from CourseLeafs. We've received this information in the past a few years back on this CourseLeaf product that allows for a template for your syllabi online that makes it easy for your syllabi to automatically pull content from the CORs, from Banner, so that's automatically populated, and all you have to worry about are the other details. So we had received that presentation in years past. We wanted to bring it back because we never took it to the next step about, well, do we want to purchase the license? And so since it's been a while and we have a lot more new faculty, we wanted to reintroduce you all to this software as a possibility, and then we can go present this elsewhere, including Academic Senate. But we're starting here since CourseLeaf is a product that we primarily use for our curriculum. So with that,
it was presented in Academic Senate 2021.
Yeah, I remember it was a while ago. Great. So take it away, CourseLeaf.
Okay. Well, thank you, Paris, and thank you, Dr. Gonzalez, for the intro there. Much appreciated. Thank you all for taking your time, especially during your meeting here. My name is John Killalay. I am the Senior Account Executive for Leapfrog Technology and our CourseLeaf suite of solutions. I am actually reside in Portland, Oregon, so I'm on the West Coast as well. However, I'm in the great state of Iowa for this week for our all-hands meeting. So that's why you're seeing myself and Chris here together. So with that, I'll let Chris introduce himself. And despite our similar work here, we are not related. Let's go get that out of the way. He would be my younger brother if that was the case, but I'll go ahead and let Chris say hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Hanser. I'm a solutions consultant here at Leapfrog, where you may know us as CourseLeaf with all our products. I actually previously was your trainer when you were implementing the catalog, and then also part of implementing courses and programs. So I'm really familiar with your team. Worked pretty closely with Paris and Sarah during that. So happy to be part of this presentation and to be able to give you the demonstration today.
Excellent. Well, welcome to Keep Students Informed with Compliant Syllabi. I want to briefly just give you a little bit of background as far as kind of what we hear out there today with regards to the syllabi process. So wanted to share a few things that we hear often. You know, one is our syllabi formats are not consistent and may not include standardized policies. It's not very intuitive for our faculty who are very busy and need to make quick changes. We update the same information in different places, so it sometimes isn't always accurate. Students don't always have the most up-to-date information, and learning outcomes are not always clear for our students. So that's just a little bit of what we hear, but what did we learn from you? So I really appreciate Paris taking the time to kind of get a little background on what you all are experiencing and some of the challenges that you have moving forward. So just kind of take you through a few highlights here. One is the need for a consistently conveying your institutional policy, a need for an intuitive faculty management of syllabi, the need for web accessibility, HTML, mobile, PDF, and a need for easy updating of dates and times, compatibility with Canvas, CourseLeaf, and Banner for seamless integration. So there were many more, but I kind of just handpicked these out as far as some of the more important ones. So over the next, say, 20 to 30 minutes here, we'll be taking a look at some of the SYL features and functionality that align with some of those challenges. We'll first look at the search and repository. We'll then go into a little more administrative role and look at intuitive editing tools and templates. We'll look at the PDF publishing of the syllabi. And then finally, we'll round out with that Canvas integration, as well as the ability to, as Dr. Gonzalez pointed out, the ability to pull in from all sorts of other solutions, such as Banner, such as CourseLeaf Catalog, CourseLeaf Tim, and so on.
All right, so this is the point where I'm going to take over and actually show you the demonstration of the software. Before we begin, does that sound in line with what you all have talked to us about and what you're looking to get out of today's presentation?
Thumbs up, awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Paris. All right, so let me bring in my other page here. So what you're seeing in front of you here, this is actually the new CL10 dashboard. You may or may not have heard of this, but Paris is shaking their head no, it looks like a little bit. But this is actually...
Sorry, we've heard of it. We just don't have it yet. I'm very eager to get it. So that's why I'm shaking my.
Wonderful. Yeah. So we're rolling this out in the next, call it year or so. We have a handful of clients who've already been transitioned over, and we've put a lot of it through testing in beta groups. So we're pretty confident to start rolling it out, which will be happening very closely to the beginning of this year and throughout this year. So whenever you're ready, you'll basically be able to have it. But it's going to be the new look and feel. This is the dashboard. So this will be your new home area. You'll be able to come here and have quick links to catalog, courses, programs, and then also a link here to the syllabi. So how you kind of have to go and search for those URLs currently, or use the link from the email to be able to get to the various pages. Your items that you will be assigned will all be accessible through here. And then there'll be links to all the products. So your particular items will be here. They'll be either your catalog pages, your courses, or your programs that you're being assigned. And then if you're in workflow, these would be items that you as the curriculum committee, and then also maybe personally in your own position, this would be a personalized view for you. You'll be able to see specifically, let's say I'm the AS Dean, I'll be able to see what's assigned to me here. So that's just kind of a breakdown of what this interface is and how you'd be able to, again, go and perform your duties in those various pieces of software. But then it's also going to connect that with the Sllabi product, which to get to that area, you just need to click right here on the Sllabi, and it's going to take you into your course search. So this course search already exists on your site today. This is where students are able to go to and put in either their subject code or department or key in the code, and it's going to show them the course information. And now this serves as the search in the repository for where those syllabuses can live. And I'm going to say can live because there's a number of options of whether you want them displayed in the course search, do you want them in Canvas? So we'll talk about that. But for the time being, we're going to assume that we're a professor and we're going to do a search for our accounting course. So I'm going to choose my term and then also my subject code of accounting. I'm going to click the search button. It'll then show all your courses here. We'll be able to select a specific course, in this case, Accounting 200, and then it's going to show me each section that you're offering for that term. So from here, I would click on the term that I want, and then I'd be able to either draft a syllabus or view a syllabus that's already created. So our search feature, this will all be customized. And as we talked about in the onset of the actual demonstration in those slides, this course search page by design is made to be mobile friendly. And then also ADA compliant, just like the rest of your catalog. So students, as they're searching for their syllabuses, whether they want the course information or whether they want to review that syllabi, they can do so on a web format, on a phone, tablet, etc. So that's kind of that first piece. There is the ability to click draft syllabus here, and that will actually take me to the syllabus that I've already created. Let's say I want to click on a section that doesn't have a syllabus created yet, like section 3 here. I'm going to have options to either create a syllabus just from scratch, or I can copy a syllabus from a different term. So I'm first going to say copy syllabus from a different term so you can see this. What this allows me to do is to choose another term, and then it allows me to then, and then it actually allows you to then copy that syllabus forward. Of course, this was working prior. But what it has to happen is that syllabus has to already be created. And then you can choose the term, and then you can effectively copy it. And then it copies all those same settings. But we can come back to that. I apologize for that. But let's look at what the syllabus would look like if I say create a syllabus from scratch here. I'm going to click create syllabus. It's effectively going to create me a page of syllabus for that course. And then it's depending on how you decide what information you want to be pulled into the syllabus. It's going to pull this information from those different sources that we talked about. So this could be from the catalog description. It could be from Banner. It could be from your LMS. It's going to pull all those pieces in here and then display them here. For editing of the syllabus, it's very much like we do editing in the catalog pages. You'll click the edit page button, and then each one of these sections that you have that you'll be able to then edit and then personalize for your own course and then your own section. So within here, there are permissions that can be set based on these different pieces of information. And again, these different pieces of information are going to be coming from different sources. We actually show you what the source is on the side. So like the subject code with the course number and the title of the course, that's all coming from the SIS. Common text could be like a mission statement or other universal language that you need on your syllabi. So by default, with the creation of the syllabus, it'll automatically show up there. The different permissions say if you're able to edit it, show, hide it, etc. You'll notice the other sources here. We also have catalog could be a common area, or common text, or like I mentioned, the LMS or the learning management system. So any questions from there before we transfer into talking about editing of and using the editing tools?
I do have a question. Can we go back? Can you go back to the previous screen where you pulled? Yes, this one. This information where we have access to previous or current syllabi that are available. Is this public facing in any way, or is this behind the scenes only for the faculty? And is it all faculty that have access to those syllabi, or only the ones that are assigned to that section?
Yeah, so good question. It depends on how you want it to be set up. So first off, do you want your syllabus to be public facing? If you do, then this would publish along with your catalog. So when you publish your next site, the information here would then publish with it. And like for Accounting 160, I've already gone ahead and published the syllabus, and you can see the link here. This is essentially what it would look like for those students. They'd be able to click it and then view it. And then from here, they'd be able to print it off if needed. So we have some institutions that are using the CourseLeaf area as their repository for the past ones, and then also creating new ones. But then they're not publishing those to the public site because they want to keep those restricted. And they're actually using that LMS integration to actually publish them back into the, with the LTI handler, they're actually publishing those in Canvas. Thank you. Instead. So the answer depends. And then also on the next site, who can access or create syllabuses for specific courses. We do have permission where it can be limited to a specific department, so several members within that department, or it can be, in those cases, to that specific professor. So the user who is that professor would be the only one to be able to create that syllabus or copy syllabuses from the past. Are there any follow-up questions?
Yeah, I had a question. Can you default on this template additional information that you want to give to faculty if they want to include certain information from the college? They can choose.
Yep, that's right. So certain, we call them templates. So there can be templates created. So I just go back here to that accounting 200. From the top there's a drop down where different templates can be created where they're going to pull different pieces of information. And then even within those templates, so think you could have a template for each department if you wanted, but each department could also have certain information that they show or hide. For example, let's say like Department of Nursing, they have to have a specific statement on their syllabuses, but you don't need that to show up for accounting or English or any of the other syllabi. Even if we're using the same standard formatting, if you create a syllabus for accounting, that statement or blurb will not show up. But if you're creating one for, say, nursing, it would show up in that instance. Did that answer that question?
Any other questions before they move on? All right, carry on, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. So next we're going to get into, just going back real quick, we're on number 2 here. We're going to look at the intuitive editing tools. We already talked about the templates, so this will focus mostly just on those tools themselves. So a lot of the tools within Syllabi should feel familiar because they're going to be very similar to tools that you've already been using within KIM and then also within the catalog. Each one of these pieces of information, again, is customized to your content, where you want to pull it from, and then also what kind of permission your administrators or what permission as faculty are you going to need on each one of these questions or pieces of information. So for example, here we have the course information here. It's saying it's coming from common text. If I click on the pencil here, you'll notice that initial common text that says you are responsible for knowing does not allow me to edit that information. That information is going to be standard across all the places that use that text, but you are able to use that page body editor, again, the same one that's in the catalog here, to actually click in and then type in your own information. So in this case, this allows you to actually append to what already exists there. So one level of allowing you to do that, I just click that save button, and then you can see on the syllabus, it adds additional information in. There's also the option with this I right here. The I allows you as the faculty member to decide whether or not you actually want to show that on your syllabus. So again, if this is something that I don't want to display to my students, I can click that I button, and then it also allows me to have that permission to hide or show certain information. So again, just demonstrating the flexibility, not only with the information that's going to be able to automatically be pulled into the source, but then also different ways that we can allow you to either edit information or not edit information, depending on what the source of that content is. So lots of different tools there between the hide and the show. So some allow you to append completely, some allow you to edit them, and then other ones allow you to show and hide them. There's also tools that we've developed. Most of what you've seen has been just the page body editor, but we've also developed tools specifically for actual syllabus is here. So one of those examples is the assessment summary here. So this allows you to actually put in the different items that are going to be scored for that course, and then also edit what those amounts are. So it allows you to create nice little tables here using that page body information. This one in particular allows you to edit the heading ahead of time. So if you want it to say something other than assessment summary, that one gives you that flexibility there. There are also items such as the schedule of topics and assignment. This one is a nice little table grid that allows you to insert in your different agenda items, your readings, and then when the assignments are due. So this interface is very much a drag and drop area where I can click add plus, being that this is accounting. I'm going to say our book is accounting for dummies is the topic, and readings we want to do chapter 1. The assignment due over here is going to be none, being it's the first day, and we can kind of fill this out accordingly. So I can do a second day. Essentially we'll fill out here. Let's say this is chapter 2, etc. So you can fill that out. You can say there's going to be a pop quiz. So imagine going through and doing all the work to fill that out and have that available, and then just being able to use that copy syllabus to copy to all your other sections. You can also, whenever you need to make a change, let's say there's not going to be any classes for, let's say there's a freak snowstorm in California, so nobody can go to class. You need to move those assignments to the next day. There's a nice little tool here where you can click on NC, which stands for no class. It'll actually move those assignments to the next area, and then you can use the drag and drop feature to drag and move these around accordingly. So it's a nice little intuitive area. I can click the OK button, and then it saves that information in, creating my title of topics. We've seen also with this.
We have a question in the room.
I don't know if you can see hands or not. Just a quick question while you're on that agenda there. Can you actually eliminate certain columns or change the headings? Or if you don't want to use a column, will it just not show it to the students, or is it going to be there in blank?
Some of it is customizable, so you'd be able to customize what the headings are. I'm assuming you could also say if you didn't want a specific column, be able to remove it. These are very similar to how our like predefined tables are constructed. So there's a little bit of leeway that we have for naming those or having certain columns.
But would that be institution-wide or by template?
I would have to double check on that. If it's one for all, or it can be customized per department.
Can you show what the weekly schedule looks like? Would you mind? From
Yeah.
the schedule type?
So if we do weekly, it then changes it to based on the schedule. It'll use that as the starting date. It'll actually use your start and end dates pulling from Banner to actually determine based on that term what the dates would be within here too.
Thank you.
And maybe later you can show us one that's already been completed so we can see the difference between the daily and the weekly.
Yeah, can we add that to a follow-up?
Is there another box under readings that you could put learning objectives for that reading, for that thing?
I think anything that you add on there, right? It doesn't have to be, are you saying another column for learning outcomes? Or just in that column, add a box that says learning outcomes for that under readings?
It looked like there was a second box at one point. It said add. So I was wondering.
You can add additional reading.
Well, you can add, so you would say reading chapter 1, and then you could potentially underneath it say focus on blah, blah, blah.
Keep typing.
Just keep typing.
Be a little bit more specific to like the pages or certain topics. I kept mine fairly broad there.
You can do that weekly too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
The or daily. No.
Any other? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. I was just gonna ask the same thing. Any other questions? This would be an example of a full edit. So this content isn't like the append from before. Anything in this page body editor is gonna be what you can actually edit that text. So it may pull the course policy from, we call it the boilerplate text or the standard text. But it does allow you to update it. So again, lots of different ways that you can customize that for the needs of the faculty. And then also there's that ability to have different templates. So different departments have different needs. It can fluctuate a little bit that way too. Make sure that you're able to customize your syllabuses the way that you want to or need to. All right.
Hold on, wait, we have another question.
Usually, thank you. Is there a way to embed videos in any of these sections? Like a video of yourself saying hello to the student. But I think a lot of teachers are moving in that direction with more liquid syllabi that are more, friendly to the students. So is there a way to kind of customize and do that in this system?
Yeah, so we do have adding videos as well as images on the roadmap. I don't have it on this particular development site or demo site, but we can see if we have that available yet, and then if we can demo that for you. But I know it's something that's coming, meaning that we're doing development actively for this, and we'll likely do it sometime this year. That's close.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good questions so far. Hopefully everything's made sense. Within here too, you also have the ability to use the on the page. So if there's something specific that you need to go to, instead of scrolling through the whole thing, if I just click on like say final grade scale, just like on the page navigation within your catalog, it's going to take you right down to that area. So it makes it easier for you as the faculty to navigate. It's also going to keep track of the history of as you're making the changes, just like we do in the catalog. So if I click show differences here, being that I just created it, it's not going to show me the red green markup. But if I publish it once, just like the catalog, after you do it the first time, it'll show that red green markup of what you're changing. If I want to go ahead and publish this out, I would click the publish page button, and then that would finish my syllabus here. And if I go back to the search courses, if you did elect to show this on your public site, it would be available within the course search here, but then on your vcc.com/Oxnard College specific catalog search here. So it would be available for you to go in, review that syllabus, and print it off. So going back to these last two, they kind of blend together in what I would consider this kind of stage of the process as we've been talking through it. So we talked about how you can search and find them in the repository, and then edited tools, and then chose the correct template. As a faculty member, we pretended that we then published it out. So it could be published again to the search courses page on the public site, or you may have or may elect to do the LTI integration with the Canvas integration, which would be the next thing to see here. So I've actually asked for the ability to show this in a live site. and it's on our radar to do that. But until we have that actual live Canvas site, I do have a couple slides from our demo site that I can show you. So hopefully this looks familiar. This would be Canvas. And then within Canvas, we'll just pretend that we are the editor of one of our courses. So we'd be able to click on it and go into it. So within here, essentially you would have a place to the syllabus on the side, and then you'd be able to click it, and it's going to then take you into, this is the handler here. So as the instructor, very similar to what we saw out on that course search, if I've already published my syllabi, I don't have that create syllabi, but if I need to edit my syllabus, I just click that edit syllabus. It's then going to launch you into that screen that we were just in. So it's going to launch you into inside the iframe to this editable area right here. So all the tools that we talked about that you'd be able to edit it are effectively going to be available for you, but from the Canvas interface. So this is popular for institutions where that's their ultimate site that they want the syllabus to be available in, instead of having them out on the public facing search site. So that's kind of what this view would look like for the instructor. They'd be able to view the syllabus by clicking it here, and then the published syllabus is going to actually launch something similar to this. So here the student would be able to review the syllabus in a non-editable view. Just like you, as you're editing, they can use that on the page navigation. They can download the PDF and then just review it. So that would be.
Sorry, we have some questions.
Just for the, right now, when they were to click on it it takes them from Canvas to this page. Is this page that you're showing us right now, instructor view? Would this also be the student view within Canvas, or is this now a different browser tab?
Yep, so good question. So this would be the instructor view, and they would have the ability to actually edit the syllabus. The student view would look like this next one. So
And this is within Canvas still, right? This is like, it didn't open a whole new page or a new tab.
Yep, that's right. Yep. So this is what we call the iframe or the LTI handler. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep, they're staying in the same place. They're not going off to another window or getting locked. They're staying right within Canvas.
Thank you.
So I have a question. Currently in Canvas, in the syllabus section, it shows it basically gives the calendar as well and shows all the assignment dates. Is that still below this, or is that no longer part of the syllabus if we have this integration? That may be a Canvas question.
That might be a Canvas
The
question.
Canvas part, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
But I just was wondering if you knew, do we get the syllabus only, or do we still have that schedule underneath it?
I'm not 100% sure. We
We'll
can
ask Canvas.
write that down and check too from our side.
Because there are pieces within Canvas that you are creating within Canvas that can be that can flow over into SYL as part of SYL. So yeah, you may not want to have it. You may want to keep it in two places, but you might say, okay, well, we've already moved it into SYL, so let's make it complicated and take it out of Canvas for now, or hide it. Like that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So,
And the last thing I'd say about the LTI handler is that we're actually working, or we've been certified with the newest version, the 1.3, which is up to date with apparently there was security concerns with the 1.1. So we've completed that, and we actually worked with a third party to do that.
yeah, EdTech or was it EdTech one or yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be the last thing that I'd have to say about the handler. Are there any other questions over anything that we've covered?
We do have a question.
One question. So it sounded like it was Course Search or Canvas. Do we have the option to do both, a version of a public facing on Course Search and also in Canvas, or is it kind of one or the other?
I'll have to check on that with you. Historically, it's been one or the other, but I don't know that we've had anyone that said we want.
Okay.
Can I ask, are you leaning one way or another?
I have a preference, but we'd have to share this with our faculty, but I think it'd be helpful if this is public facing it helps our students when they're looking for classes to see what's expected out of them ahead of time. It helps with promoting our classes. But that ultimately this would be a faculty decision.
Fair. And we'll check on that and follow up with you on that question.
Thank you.
Great.
Right.
Well,
All right, so any other questions from our end? Last call. right. And continue on, and you have 11 minutes left.
yeah, I think we're gonna give you back some time, but just in summary, what do we look at here? So we looked at maintaining flexibility and consistency with the intuitive tools and templates, guided access with that centralized control, ensuring accuracy and timely updates with that advanced integration, and then boosting productivity with easy information carrying over from all the different outside systems. So really what we're looking at, what's the net here, right? Easy to create an update for admins and faculty, always consistent and aligned with your campus policies, and accessible and up to date for your students. And so we can go on and on about how great this is, but we really like to say, hey, talk to our customers. So Brian Mercer here at Azusa Pacific University said CourseLeaf is the only curriculum system that fully integrates with a syllabus. This is pretty life-changing in our little world. So kind of just, again, want to make sure you hear it from the people that are using it, that are in the trenches, and so forth. So that's what we had for you today. We really appreciate the time you gave us during your meeting. If there's any more questions, we'd be happy to sit here for a bit more and answer questions, or we'd be happy to give your time back and so you can resume your meeting.
And do we have any? All right, so we're gonna take our time back, but if people have questions, we'll have them address them to us and we'll have parents forward them along. So the next time you get to do this in front of a group of faculty from our college, you can maybe be able to answer some of those if they don't come to us first.
That sounds great. Thank you. And we'll talk to our team with regards to some of these questions you asked today. And
Great.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Enjoy the rest of your